Welcome to another daily roundup of Russian Telegram chatter. Your like and subscribe to my channel would really be appreciated. Subscription is free and it only takes a moment of your time. I monitor and translate Russian Telegram chat channels as a general mood check so you don't have to. Remember, please do your own research and be wary of propaganda and disinformation, which occurs frequently in Russian chat, especially when there is bad news for Russians concerning the country's illegal and genocidal war in Ukraine. The chat is unverified and I do not endorse the views expressed. Right? Let's get on with it. On Telegram today, Russia may be left without domestic medicines. In Russia, there are growing difficulties in using foreign raw materials for the production of domestic drugs, said Alexander Semenov, president of the pharmaceutical company Active Component. After the latest package of sanctions, there is a level of certain TN-VED codes that list assets and reagents that are already prohibited from being supplied to Russia. Those same Chinese companies are already introducing restrictions on certain items. I have the impression that this story will only get worse, he said. According to RNC Pharma, the dependence of Russian drug manufacturers on foreign raw materials reaches 80%. More than 2/3 of imports come from China and India. On Putin's 72nd birthday, the head of the Ministry of Health announced the ability of a person to live up to 120 years. How depressing for the rest of us. Making the old tyrant happy today, he was given a promise that he is capable of living up to 120 years, said Russian Health Minister Mikhail Murashko. According to him, such a life expectancy, twice the average for men in Russia, 66 years, is genetically determined in humans. Earlier, the Russian Health Ministry demanded that Russian scientists provide developments in the fight against aging. At the same time, Putin's father died at the age of 88, and his official mother died at the age of 87. According to some journalists, Putin's real mother is another woman, and she died at the age of 97. Industrialists complain about unbearable working conditions in Russia. At the Russian Agro-Technical Forum, the conditions in which the development or industry in different countries was discussed. According to the co-owner of the Rost-Selmash combine plant, Konstantin Babkin, the conditions in Russia are one of the worst in the world. In Russia, taxes and fees on salaries collected from employers make up 43%. VAT in Russia is the highest among the countries considered. The interest rate on loans in Russia is several times higher than in other countries. Electricity for enterprises in the Russian Federation is also more expensive than in other countries, and even metal produced in the Russian Federation goes to Russian industry at a much higher price than it is sold abroad. Official asks to equalize childless Russians with those who have children. Director of the Department of Internal Policy of the Sverdlovsk region, Natalia Guchanok, supported the introduction of a tax on childlessness. Think about it. Someone lives and doesn't worry about not raising children and not spending part of their income on the development of these children, on their maintenance, education. And someone raises 5 or 7 and they pay the same personal income tax, she said. According to her, no one can force a person to be a good family man, but the state has legal leverage to resolve these issues. In reviewing Russian internet channels today, the penny finally drops. According to a professor, So it must totally be true, reading news on the internet leads to a decrease in patriotism in Russian society. This was shown by a study by URFU Associate Professor Ruslan Mukametov. According to his work, national pride in the country is strengthened by watching TV, as well as under the influence of fear of an external threat. Our propaganda efforts are not cheap. Funding for state TV channels and media will increase to a new historical maximum of 137 billion rubles in 2025. This is 13% more than in the current year. On average, propaganda costs will amount to 11.4 billion rubles per month or 2.6 billion rubles per week. Discord has been blocked in Russia for violating legal requirements, Roskomnadzor reports. The blocking of Discord is a signal to other foreign IT companies that patience and desire to negotiate are running out, the State Duma said. According to Deputy Nemkin, the blocking is aimed at ensuring the safety of Russians. A week before, the messenger was completely banned. An advertisement was spotted on social networks calling for people to stop using the program. Discord blocked. Russians rushed to download other messengers. TeamSpeak website crashed after sudden influx of users. Roskomnadzor added 3 Steam community pages to the register of banned sites in the first 2 weeks of October. Roskomnadzor's website no longer opens for Russians. Such nonsense will end in tears for the regime. Sovcombank, we expect the Bank of Russia to raise the key rate to 22% from the current level of 19% at its next meetings. The next meetings of the central bank will be held on October 25th, December 20th, and in mid-February 2025. In the baseline scenario, we expect that the 22% rate will be the peak in this cycle, and in mid-2025, the central bank may begin to reduce the rate and bring it to 17% by the end of next year. In the risk scenario, we admit that the central bank may not reduce the key rate in 2025 and, if necessary, raise it above 22%. BRICS leaders refuse to congratulate Putin on his birthday for the second year in a row. They are all too busy gathering personal wealth from bankrupt national budgets and too busy perfecting their crimes against humanity. For the second year in a row, none of the BRICS leaders congratulated Vladimir Putin on his birthday. At the same time, in 2024, the Russian president received the fewest congratulations from foreign heads of state since the start of the war in Ukraine. Of the world leaders, only Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan called Putin by phone. The rest limited themselves to telegrams, writes the agency after analysing the messages from the Kremlin press service. The price of the iPhone 16 in Russia has fallen by a record 26% to 79,000 rubles. This is the same as the official price of $799. Tim Cook and Apple are happy. His balance sheet of unexplained sales growth of iPhones in Turkey, and the stands is something Cook & Co. sell to shareholders. They don't want to know or explain why the number of iPhones going to Turkey suggests they have 50+% of the mobile market, but when current operating systems of phones in Turkey are calculated, iOS systems only account for 15% of the market. There is the truth. Turkey and others are just middlemen in the parallel supply chain. Apple knows it after all. They know the location of every iPhone. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I also leave comments open for feedback, which I really appreciate. You can view my original posts in much more detail on Twitter. Follow me. Befita Gaidshia. My research threads also include full references and sources to speed up your own research. Did you know that I also provide daily updates and deep dive research videos on a range of interesting subjects, including economics, geopolitics, sanctions, sanctions circumventions, fossil fuel updates, and much more. If you are able to support me with a coffee or subscription on Patreon, I do provide links in the description of the video. I really appreciate all the support I can get towards my research, equipment, and publication costs. Thank you. To those who have supported me on Patreon or buy me a coffee, you are simply awesome. Your regular support is really appreciated. Remember, folks, the YouTube edition of my Russian Telegram chat translations is released every night at midnight, UK time. Have a great day. I look forward to your next visit.